So, Mark, did you see the Raiders? I mean, I don't got much else to say. 31 nothing loss at the Eagles, 2 wins. Is this what we signed up for?
Yes, it was the Raiders. I mean, what did you guys think was going to happen? But no, I feel bad for Max Crosby, or maybe I shouldn't, that he wanted out and then they talked him into staying there, and great player on a really bad team. Get used to it. More of this is coming with the A's, Sean.
How many head coaches' reputations can we ruin with one team? Gruden, Carroll, they're all going away. The Raiders, the greatest franchise in all of sports.
What happens first, Sean? The Raiders make the playoffs or Mark Davis gets a new haircut?
All Net Arena gets built, of course. So one of the things I love to talk about on this show is my love of the Trop. Of course, I started the show when the Trop still existed, Mark, and she no longer exists. Now I have to talk about a stadium raising from her ashes. And speaking of ashes, I've been talking to my dad about this for a long time, and he kept telling me he had this Tropicana silver coin from back in the day. And what's interesting about ashes is my dad lived in Paradise, California, and his house burned down, and this coin burnt down with the house, but it survived. And he finally found it and gave it to me. It's a $25 silver strike coin. This is 1 ounce of silver, so it was worth 25 bucks back in the day, about 60 something dollars now. And as you can see, should I get this refurbished, or should I just leave it with the melted plastic from the fire?
I would get it refurbished. I think it's a pretty sweet thing to have, and definitely a collector's item. If you can clean it up a little bit, I think it'd be great. I mean, it does have a story of survival baked into it right now, which is something to appreciate too. But what a good piece of history, and just goes to show whenever you can get one of these types of things, and we talked about some of the slot machines that kick out certain specialty coins, hold on to them. You never know.
Yeah, I did a search on eBay just trying to see what market. I'm not selling this coin for anything, just to be clear, but to see, and there's not a ton of them around. I found a $10 one, but like I said, this is full ounce of silver, so it actually has value too, real world silver value. But yeah, I was thinking because it's silver, it's probably going to be easy enough to get it cleaned, hopefully, and get that off. But it's neat, a piece of history, and I'd love to see more people on Twitter tag me and some stuff. Send some pictures of your old silver coins from old casinos that are no longer with us. But yeah, the Trop always living on in my heart.
No, it's cool to see back in the day where they had these. I mean, think about, you used to get the 50-cent pieces when you played blackjack, 50-cent coins, and then they came out with the 250 coins. You just kind of lost all that. Any staying power or anything worth money has been refurbished into something cheaper that's tossed away and easily recreated for special events and stuff. So anytime you can hold on to some history, you got to do it.
And as a reminder, I think Plaza and Four Queens, they both still going with their silver strike coins, so you can still get these types of collectible coins. I don't think that they're an ounce of silver like they used to be, but you know, inflation and all of that. So another story coming from Corey over at casino.org. He did a investigation into the Riata Casino. This is a name probably a lot of people hadn't heard of. It was only open for a couple years, but it's fascinating as he dives into this. You guys should read the article, and I think there's a whole book all about this as well. Basically, the story of this casino was about this kind of local casino owner who supposedly stood up to the mob. But as Corey found out, the mob basically put him out of business and said, "We're taking your casino." And this is Tony Spilotro. This is the whole casino movie era. Fascinating story.
Yeah, and we always talk about the heyday of Vegas, the mob era, how we miss it, the way that they catered to gamblers and stuff and just gave you like a better overall experience. But we never think about the other side of this, the innocent people that were kind of put the thumb down on and forced to do things they never wanted to do, didn't get to run their property the way that they wanted to do it. So that is definitely the other side of things that we kind of gloss over when we think of it as this picturesque era.
Yeah, according to the article, the guy who owned it, one day he just gets taken to a car, a hood put over his head, he gets driven out into the desert, has this whole sort of thing with Spilotro, and then eventually they bring him back to the casino, and this is after he had put it for sale, and they're like, "Oh, you're not going to find any buyers for your casino. It's going to so-and-so mobster," and that's just sort of what they did. So he basically financed the casino, built it himself, and then ended up going bankrupt and closing it, and so he didn't even get bought out, I don't think, by the mob there. I want to read this book, though, so I'm not an expert on this story. Corey dives in. He talks to the people involved. He's doing such great work over there on finding these different types of Vegas-related stories, and always happy to highlight them. And if you love the movie Casino, this feels like a scene right out of it.
No, it's awesome that he's been able to get these people on the phone. We talked about the cents getting pumped in the last episode. Another really cool story and a little bit behind the scenes, and cannot deny or affirm, but you kind of get it in between the lines, reading in between the lines, and this is another really cool story and several that he's found that you don't know where he's getting them from, but it's pretty awesome.
And what happened to that building? Well, it turned into the Silver City. That was bought by Circus, I think, in 91, but it turned into the Silver City. That closed in 99, and that is where that infamous Ross Dress for Less is, across from Resorts World, that whole area. So, yeah, good on you. Oh, man, that should be a casino. That is the worst shopping center on the Strip.
So dirty.
It's so dirty. So dirty. Oh. One of the things we talk about often is these themed experiences coming to Las Vegas, and themed restaurants were so big in the 90s. We talked about the Dive restaurant, that fashion show with the big yellow submarine, of course, the Hard Rocks and the Planet Hollywoods, and everything had a theme. And we've started to see maybe a comeback with that, with experiential Vegas. Netflix Bites would be a good example of that. Well, I saw this example of this new restaurant opening in Mexico, Monopoly Steakhouse. And this is Hasbro is licensing this, and they want to bring this concept everywhere. And I wonder if eventually to Vegas, I mean, we have that huge Monopoly tie-in with slot machines, and this looks like a really nice restaurant, but it just looks like a steakhouse that they themed to Monopoly. I don't see what's special about it or what's Monopoly about it other than the decoration.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know what they're going for here. They just have like monopoly things on the wall and hanging from the ceiling or whatever, and it looks beautiful, but I don't know what Monopoly has to do with food. It doesn't make any sense to me. Love the slot machines, love the games, the video games, the board game, all that stuff. I just don't know how a steakhouse fits in there.
Well, the reason I bring this up for Vegas is I think we're going to see a lot more of this type of stuff. And I think it's a little bit unfortunate. People talking like the Disney and the themed entertainment spaces, how they just want to throw an IP on anything. And it's just like, just throw the popular IP on it and it'll work. And I think this is a good example of why do we need a Monopoly Steakhouse? What is making it worth going to? And sort of everything is lost in translation. But I would not be surprised if we see a board game restaurant announced for Vegas in the next year or so, as they're trying to expand this. And I was so excited with the concept, Mark, and then I looked at the pictures and I'm like, eh.
Yeah, I think they could do something kind of fun with it, tie the game into it somehow. Maybe you can't do a high-end steakhouse with that, but I think they could do something kind of unique that brings the game to life in the restaurant.
As a reminder, we have our Patreon. $5 a month gets you access to our weekly after show. Great community of people on Patreon as well. Patreon.com/MTM Vegas for all the information. And thanks to everybody who supports us over there. So staying with food heavy episode here. Station Casino's late night dining specials. We've talked about those before. I just happened to be at Green Valley Ranch the other night and had a death wish for eating breakfast in the middle of the night. And so I decided to order that, and I wanted to show you guys. So this is from 11 till 6 a.m. And I like that it actually starts at 11 and not midnight. Like I think at South Point, some of the other ones start at midnight. $3.99 pancakes, $4.99 biscuits and gravy with eggs, or you get the Deuces Wild, which has like 2 eggs, 2 bacon, sausage, toast. They also have the $9.99 steak and eggs, which we didn't get, and then the cheeseburger all day. Solid value though for $4. I want to say something. I was shocked. The breakfast was all really good. You know how you can go somewhere in the middle of the night and the breakfast is like not good. The eggs are sitting in the window too long. The hash browns suck. Everything tasted really good, and that was impressive. It's just eggs and hash browns, but there you go.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people can mess up eggs and hash browns. You wouldn't think it would be that hard, but it definitely happens. So it looked great in the pictures that you shared with me, and you can't beat those deals. And that's what we all love about Vegas, or used to love and would love to see more of it, is those late night diner deal type of setup, and something you couldn't get elsewhere or not easily. And they were everywhere. They're still around. You just got to hunt a little bit more for them.
And a couple other takeaways, the pancakes, really good. I was expecting pancakes, like average pancakes, but they were really good sort of pancakes, and that was good. And then you know how they get you, Mark, is with the drinks. Ended up getting a Coke or a soda, and it was like $5. So there you go. There's more. I was expecting
more than the food.
Yeah, I was expecting $4 and it was $5. But even with the one drink, and we ordered 3 things to kind of show everybody, it's still like what, $20. Good service, good stuff. And that's at all the Station Casinos properties. In their coffee shops, you can get that sort of deal. And we talk a lot about 24/7 dining on the channel, or the lack thereof, in the last few years. And I came across this article from Neon, the Review Journal, talking about 24/7 dining. And it's hilarious when you go through the article. And any of these articles, I looked at an Eater article, I was looking at some others, and they'll list a bunch of restaurants, but almost none of them are on the Strip.
Yeah, it's been crazy to see that. Usually, back in the day, I felt like every casino had at least one, if not 2 locations that were open 24/7, and it doesn't seem like that's prevalent as much anymore. A little bit harder to find. Even Peppermill kind of open sometimes 24/7. I always thought it was kind of weird. Golden Tiki was open 24 hours. I love that place. It's amazing, but I wouldn't think that I'm going to go there for like early morning eats or late night eats. Maybe for drinks, yeah. But do you think it stays busy all the way to like 5, 6, 7 in the morning?
I love when a bar has a food menu, though. I mean, in Chinatown, probably that Chinatown Plaza, a lot of late night eats, a lot of people there. So it's sort of an area that's always bustling. Yes, here's some other ones. Saginaw's at Circa was on the list. The Oyster Bar at Palace Station. I know that is a sort of popular in the middle of the night thing. Norm's, which is an LA diner, and this is sort of in a local area. I haven't gone there, but it looks like traditional diner food. Looks really good. But yeah, not a lot on the Strip. Peppermill, as you said, I think Monday through Wednesday they close at 2 a.m. and then they're open 24 hours around there. Some of the cafes in there, like the Grand Lux Cafe at the Venetian. We talked about Cafe Americano, those two locations, those how they grow so much because they are open 24 hours. But it's just sad to say that there isn't like good coffee shops, those old school coffee shops that we have those sort of affinities to. But I mean, it is still around. And then I want to add one option to this, and that would be the Taco Bell Cantina, my favorite place to go at 3 a.m. on the Strip.
I mean, it does hit sometimes. It hits really well, and I love
It hits.
upstairs. You just got to be close to your room after you're done at 3 a.m. Make sure you don't leave too much time in between that.
It's great. The wedding chapel upstairs. I hate to admit I don't like Taco Bell. I don't really eat it very much in my life, but if I'm on the Strip and it's late and I need a quick pick me up, I will go to the Cantina. That was also on these lists. I'll put links to a couple of lists for you if you're looking for 24/7 dining. It just left me depressed at what the options are these days.
Yeah, it's a sad reality that we have to live after COVID. I think COVID kind of killed that off a bit and it never came back. I always thought it would. It was such a big part of Vegas, but maybe they figured out it wasn't worth it. But hopefully more and more kind of turn the corner and open up.
So this next story is wild. They're calling it the Hangover in real life. I think the Independent in the UK called it that. So this guy goes to Aria, apparently takes out $75,000 in markers. He claims he was drugged or something going on. This is such a weird story, Mark, because apparently he woke up in the Sky Suites lounge the next morning, and then he gets kicked out. He gets trespassed from the property. It seems like there's a lot in his lawsuit that's being left out, and we don't know what Aria's side to all of this. But basically, he thinks he only did 10,000 in markers, wakes up the next day discombobulated, has 75,000 in markers, eventually doesn't pay them, gets charged with a felony for it. He's trespassed from the property. And all he's saying is, I got drugged. They overserved me. They weren't paying attention. They should have known I was all messed up. I want to know more. There's got to be more to this story.
Isn't it crazy that charged with a felony though?
Well, in Nevada, you can't. This is goes back to
I know, but
you can't even write a bad check, and it's a felony.
Yeah, it's just like how entrenched the law and everything is built around the casinos. It's always kind of shocking to see. And I get why it's there, and it makes sense. But you just wouldn't think like a private business. Who cares if they don't make money or do make money? They should go after them like civilly. But that's the way it has to be. That's the way it has to be. But yeah, this is crazy. I do think that there's probably some credence to his claim. That's a problem we've seen in Vegas where people get overserved and they don't really have anything. They don't stop anybody from gambling or doing stupid stuff, and they kind of let it roll. And you go, wait, that's not the way it's supposed to work. If you see somebody overserved, especially if somebody's been drugged, that should be fairly obvious, and it's up to you to stop that to a point. So I do wonder how this plays out. I think it probably should play out one way, but it will probably go in the favor of the casino.
Yeah, and there's surveillance, right? There's a lot of things that Aria knows about this, and maybe they'll come out in court that we don't see it. But yeah, we had a lot of examples of this, of people getting too messed up and then making mistakes and then going back and saying I was drugged or I was overserved or something like that. It's interesting in this case. I don't know how high of a roller he is. It seems to indicate that he was somewhat of that, but $75,000 isn't the craziest amount of money we've ever heard going through a casino in Vegas. He clearly wants to prove this point. He's suing them. How did it escalate? First off, he passes out in the Sky Suites lounge. So he's messing because he took out his last marker at 9 a.m. and I think they found him at 11 a.m. in the Sky Suites thing. How does it escalate? If you know this guy's a customer, he's a high roller, how does it escalate to you getting kicked out of the property? There has to be some sort of a kerfuffle going on that we don't know about. So
there you go.
Yes, I did work the word in. I'm very proud, and I will retire now.
No, I'm guessing that they went to wake him up or something, said, "Hey, you can't sleep here," and then he just was belligerent and maybe threw some swings or something along those lines, like fought back, got arrested there. But yeah, crazy story. And if you're that bad at 9 a.m., I don't know how you get a marker out. I'm assuming there's some extra paperwork. I've never done a marker, but it's not like just going to the ATM with your own card. You have to get somebody involved from the casino to make that happen. So I don't know how they wouldn't notice that it's in bad shape and should make a decision from there. We've seen the law kind of crack down on them turning a blind eye to where money was coming from. Maybe this is the next thing that they really focus on.
Whatever it is, crazy crap happens in Vegas. I'll tell you, another one of these stories, and it's always fun to see. Now, when I recently stayed at Caesars in the Octavius Tower, I talked about their villa mistake rate and how I got a free suite there. I can assure you that none of that craziness happened. But I wanted to talk about that room in the Octavius Tower. Now, we talk about Caesars a lot, how it's a maze. Everybody sort of who's experienced the property understands that because it's been built in many different phases. And the Octavius Tower is the one, I think it's the most recently built one. It's on Flamingo Road, closest to Rio. And that's what's funny, Mark, is that my room was at the very end of the hallway. And as I'm walking down the hallway, there's a window at the end of the hallway where I could see Rio in the sign. And it just felt like I was walking all the way to Rio. That's how far my room was.
And that's something that just drives me nuts. We've talked about it at Aria too, like how long those hallways can be at times. It's something we've heard from our buddy Paul that says certain builders were like, hey, you need to be able to walk from the elevator from here to the room in this amount of time. Otherwise, people get mad. So we need to design it to fit there. And when you're just adding on things piecemeal, it's kind of hard to pull that off, I think, because maybe that wasn't the plan from the beginning. So you feel it in certain properties. Bellagio's another one, depending on the tower. You can end up really far away from the action. It does get frustrating at times.
I've also stayed at the Augustus Tower, which is the one right next to it. And I thought that location was much better. I didn't think there'd be a huge difference, but it just ended up being a lot more walking, which is fine, but it was a little disconnected. This is not my favorite room design. I don't think that the rooms have been renovated since they were built. So we're talking late 2000s sort of views. One bedroom suite, 960 square feet. We had views of the Bellagio, but again, we're more towards Rio. So I could see the fountains off to the left. And it was during F1 anyway, so everything was blocked. But a solid room, I would say, but not something I would go out of my way for in this product. There's definitely much better products within Caesars Palace, in Nobu, and in some of the more renovated rooms. And of course, those villas that they didn't want to give me, I would have taken a villa instead. But, maybe next time.
Oh, that would have been sweet. But no, I think it's a spacious room. It's got a lot of good space. And it seems like it's held up fairly well. Quality furniture and furnishings in there. That can hold up, and hopefully they get to renovating it at some point. And I think I agree with you. It looks nice enough, but not anything special that you are like, oh, I can't wait to go back there.
Yeah, it looks like a old Hyatt Regency room for me, having stayed in a ton of those. But yeah, no complaints to it. It was fine. The whole stay was free, as I said. The room was free, $300 dining credit. I talked previously about going to Peter Luger's for lunch again. The burger holds up there. That lunch special is pretty great for $50, so you should try that. Also went to Gordon Ramsay's pub for like a late night thing. Talked about the fish and chips, which we do. We never talk about the chicken tikka masala there, which is really good at Gordon Ramsay. So that's another dish that people should go check out. I've had it. I know several people who are friends that had it and told me, and then I've had it a few times now, or we've shared it, and it's delicious. So there you go. Nothing too fancy for me, but Peter Luger, Gordon Ramsay, old hotel room, no money out of pocket. How could you fight with disco show in the same night? Life was good.
You killed it.
It all blew up. Yeah.
You killed it.
So let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about today. 24/7 dining. What is your favorite place to eat at in the middle of the night on the Strip? What's your favorite tower at Caesars Palace? Is Octavius your favorite one? Do you have one of the others that you favor? The crazy marker story, everything else we talked about, leave a comment. We do 2 shows a week, Tuesdays and Fridays. Next week, our schedule is going to be a little bit different. Not sure when the videos are going to come out, but we'll be back to a normal schedule after that. Thanks so much for watching. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Talk to you next time.
Have a good weekend, everybody. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.